Hi. So, as I demonstrated in my vision board, my interests are in arts, design, hands on activities, and my own well being. This is something that's very important to me, and it is something that I wanted to improve on not only in school, but also during other academic activities in my life. And so my goals for my capstone were to have my own creative expressions within it and to help spread joy and happiness to others. The key people mentioned in my vision board are my family, and specifically for what my project ended up being were my brother, who's a business major, and my father, who worked in web design. So, what is my project? I chose my problem question to be fixing something that I've experienced and witnessed many times, being how can I break down the cultural barrier between national and international students? The format of this question will be presented as an app through Technovation Girls with a group, which is a program where a group of girls solve an issue in their community through the creation of an app. So during this experience, I was able to develop my interpersonal skills that will be transferable to my future studies in interactive arts and technologies at SFU. This could be seen from the first few meetings held with when the groups were initially formed to workshops at Microsoft's downtown garage where we collaborated with groups from all across Vancouver in our ideation process. Many of the workshops were focused on my group's ideation process, where we would be presented with outlined criteria to follow, then in a limited amount of time choose an idea to interpret in a way that followed the provided criteria to ultimately present in front of other groups. I'd consider communication to be one of my strengths. However, in the beginning of my high school career, it was quite the opposite. I had trouble maintaining common conversation, although my confidence began to grow as I became more comfortable with myself and pushed towards improving these skills. To me, this project was an opportunity to showcase my communication skills and to exercise them through the entire process with my group, especially while we reviewed information we had acquired from workshops and worked to apply them to the plan for our app. Ultimately, this experience allowed me to practice effective communication, research, critical thinking, and teamwork while keeping focused on the presented issue. I was also faced to think both creatively and critically. While I consider creative thinking to be one of my strengths, I am often unable to think critically about the many creative ideas I have produced. This is a step that frequently in my high school career I've become overwhelmed and lost within. However, through my capstone, I was forced to face critical thinking as it was a key aspect in the construction of my app. Many of the workshops that I attended were focused on my group's ideation process. During this time, we would generate ideas through analyzing different issues we see within our community, such as bullying, diverse cultural communication, and mental illness. Then we critiqued the given ideas to ultimately choose diverse cultural communication. When we questioned this issue to further develop and investigate it in order to find the most optimal solution. After we began to find different examples and opinions in how students of different cultural backgrounds find communication between one another through interviews and polls. After analyzing this information, we were once again ideating which features would best suit our app. We followed the same process we did for choosing our question, and with the aid of an outline guide to follow on designing our app from a workshop, we began to choose which features to include and others that weren't necessary. During this time, I also began creating different sketches of what the layout for our app could look like and how the features would best be suited for the user. At an SFU workshop, I was also guided through the process of designing an app using a block coding software called Thunkable. This both challenged me to create the most accessible and effective user interface possible, and also introduced me to standard techniques for interface, specification, prototyping, and evaluation that will face me in my future career. Here's a short demonstration of the app, which is designed to help you decide where you should go out to eat. Our app is designed to encourage positive, diverse relationships and promote understanding of different cultural contexts. This specifically was to apply to national students and international students. I definitely learned a lot going through this process, as I've witnessed the divide between national and international students, and I got to learn how international students feel and that they wanted to make national friends. However, there are many impeding anxieties that face them. In that regard, my personal values and choices have been greatly affected to my capstone, have greatly affected my capstone, as I did not previously have the same knowledge as I do now, and value diverse relationships with higher worth. The ultimate goal of the app, and what I hope to spread to others, is treating these relationships with more value. Through my capstone, I was also successfully able to put the purpose of our app into action, as I was able to form relationships with international students who collaborated with me in its creation. We worked together to combine our shared strengths and abilities not only to improve our app, but also each other and our community. While our app strives to solve a problem in a peaceful way, this is also something that I had to face with my group while creating the app. There were clashing ideas and differing opinions. However, I worked to find compromise and problem solve them to find a happy medium with my group. Having to solve these conflicts was very useful, as I could apply the strategies used to help solve the problem question of our app. How do we break the cultural divide between international and national students? Throughout the entire process, I feel that my self-determination, regulation, and well-being has had a profound impact. Although I've seen a change in almost all of my core competencies throughout my capstone journey, those were the most challenged, as they've been a weakness through my entire high school career. As my capstone was a large project that took place outside of school, I found it difficult at many times to find the motivation to continue to work and pursue solving this problem. I also found it difficult because at times my teammates would face the same issue. However, I knew that I had to persevere to continue working on our app, since it would not only benefit my future, but it could also benefit others. Finding the determination to continue was difficult. However, I feel that it greatly strengthened my competency by finding the worth in what I am doing and having an end goal to strive towards. It was also important for me to self-regulate, as to keep up my workload to match the rest of the groups. I also worked to find self-regulation in times that there were disagreements in my group that were not easily solved. However, in having more self-regulation, I was much more able to keep my cool and peacefully find a solution to our conflicts. Finally, and most importantly to me, is my well-being. In the beginning of high school, I didn't have much respect for my well-being and would quickly put others before myself in hopes of being liked. However, I've worked very hard over the past few years to improve my self-respect and well-being, and I've found that my capstone has been a sort of monument to this. Throughout my entire journey, I made sure to put my well-being first, because if I wasn't able to work at my best, then it would be a disservice to the rest of the group and to myself. Keeping my well-being looked like taking a 5-minute walk break every hour or so, staying hydrated and full, as well as going to the bathroom whenever needed. And this is the competence that I ultimately feel like I am the most proud of, because no matter what profession my future may hold, I believe that this is a necessary skill for everyone to possess. At its very core, our app and problem question was promoting well-being between people. And if this was not something that I was able to accomplish myself, then I don't know how I would have been able to advise it towards others. Thank you very much for coming to my presentation, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did.